Are professional model saxophones really worth the asking price? Are they that much better than their student model counterparts? Should we all just take our professional model saxophones and throw them away? Let's find out. Now, this is not the definitive one and only comparison video between student and professional model saxophones, but I hope it does shed some light for you on some of the differences and similarities between the two. Now, I'm not comparing exact saxophone to exact saxophone. I just grabbed the standard student model Yamaha that all of our beginners rent, and this is my professional model Mark 6. Seems to be an industry standard. Nothing special about either horn, so let's get right into it. Here are some things that contribute to the cheaper price of a student model saxophone. One of the first things is plastic finger touches as opposed to mother of pearl. Another is the simplified mechanisms on the instrument compared to their pro model counterparts. Another thing is cheaper materials overall, and that could be from the leather on the pads to the cork in the felt and then actually the metal of the instrument itself. The final thing is there's a lot more automation that goes into the making of a student model saxophone as opposed to a handmade professional model saxophone. So what are the actual differences? Well, for first thing, it's aesthetics, how it looks. The student models are usually a little plainer looking, whereas professional model instruments usually have more engraving and hand engraving throughout. The next thing is keywork, the ergonomics of the instrument, how it actually feels in your hand. I've heard that the keywork lays better in the hands on professional model saxophones, but I have an issue with that. Does it really cost that much more to make the instrument feel right and to put the keys in the right spot? And two, even if it does feel weird at first playing another instrument, you'll get used to it after a while. Another thing is value. A professional model saxophone will usually hold its value as a percentage higher than the student model saxophone. Now there's talk about reliability. Some people say the professional model saxophone is going to be more reliable than the student model. If you take care of both, there shouldn't really be any issues, unless you're like this idiot I saw on the internet who threw a saxophone across the room. Now there's talk about the actual sound of the instruments. People say that the intonation or the tuning is better on a professional model saxophone than a student model saxophone. But if you play smooth jazz with all that vibrato, I don't think you care about being in tune anyway.
Oh, snap!
Now we're on to responsiveness of the instrument. So, you want to go on a date with me? So, do you want to go on a date with me? Jackpot, much more responsive. Now we're on to the most important difference, and that's tone quality. The actual sound coming out of the instrument. Some people say it's from a denser metal, higher quality materials, a bigger bore in certain parts of the instrument, or because the professional model saxophone is made with tiers of Kenny G haters. I'm not really sure. But I'm going to play a bit right now so you can hear the difference between the two. got a pretty decent sound out of the student model saxophone, but the depth and richness of sound just doesn't compare to this Mark VI. Those two recordings you just heard did sound different, and is that enough to justify the price difference between the two instruments? That's up for you to decide. I feel like I can get through gigs just fine on the student model saxophone, but if it was a choice between these two, I know what I'm taking every single time. The bottom line is, if you have some money set aside to either purchase a new saxophone or get lessons or other materials to aid in your performance, always go for the lessons of the materials. Sometimes intonation issues or technique issues can be magnified by professional instruments, and it is not a cure-all. You're not going to be able to play faster, be able to play higher, be able to play Coltrane changes better, be able to play Kenny G solos better just because you bought a professional model saxophone. Now, once your playing ability gets up to a certain level and you want to aid it by getting a certain instrument that feels good, that sounds good, go right ahead. I hope this video was helpful, informative, and a bit of fun. Please take a second to subscribe below for a lot more videos, and as always, let's make jazz fun again.